Ohio State stays red hot on the trail, adding four-star safety Simeon Caldwell.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in, Buckeye fans, to your feel-good Friday edition of Locked On Buckeyes, which is your daily Ohio State podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I am your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast, and today's episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. Stock up today and stay energized. During today's show, we'll talk about Diebler's portal pickup, as well as if the Buckeyes can maintain this recruiting surge. But first, Ohio State is red hot right now on the recruiting trail. The Buckeyes have had 3 offensive linemen verbally commit since Tyler Bowen was hired. Earlier this week, they got a commitment from a 5-star safety. And just a day ago, the Buckeyes picked up a commitment from another safety, this time a top 100 recruit in Simeon Caldwell. And this is what you want this time of year. You want to start off hot. You want to set the right foundation for your recruiting class, get some offensive linemen, get some beef in there, get some talent on both sides of the ball, which is going to be a great way for Ohio State to lure more elite talent to Columbus. Then you're going to add in the fact that they won the Natty last year. That's another recruiting tool that Ohio State has in the bag right now. And if I'm a recruit in the country, I would want to look at Ohio State and think, how can I get an offer if I don't already have one? If I have an offer from Ohio State, I'm thinking, is that the right place for me? Because I say that knowing that Ohio State's not the right place for everybody. I'm not trying to be negative right now early in the show, just trying to be real with you. Ohio State is at the right school for every player. There are players at other schools that are elite that may think Ohio State is a place for them. They get on campus and realize, nah, man, this ain't it. But for Simeon Caldwell, this is the right place for him. Now, it also helps. Not only does Ohio State known for having an elite secondary, his uncle is Tim Walton. So you're having your uncle, who's currently a coach, who also was a former Buckeye player. So you're getting that from 2 different sides, a couple of different eras. And now you're getting that right now with you on the recruiting trail. That is huge for Simeon Caldwell. He is the 9th player to verbally commit to Ohio State. A couple safeties. There are 3 offensive linemen, a tight end, and Corbin Fordham, who is a teammate of Simeon Caldwell. So they'll continue being teammates as both players, as of right now, verbally committed to be Buckeyes in the future. You add in Jacob Weatherspoon, an Ohio kid from Avon, Ohio, is also verbally committed. Then Chris Henry Jr. and Jaden Ricketts are the last 2 guys in the Buckeyes 2026 recruiting class. And when I watch Simeon Caldwell play football, I am looking at a guy that I am kind of shocked. He's only the 95th best recruit via 247 Sports composite rankings. I see a top 75, maybe even a top 50 kid. I know that you have on their site 24/7, he's the 7th best linebacker. But his position on his recruiting database in the site there on that page, he is a safety. Sitting at 6'3", 185 pounds. I think he's more of a safety than a linebacker. But that was something that people were saying maybe about Sonny Styles. Well, he comes in, he's a safety, more of a big body safety. Wait, maybe he's more of a linebacker. And I think that Caldwell's more of a safety at the next level, a strong safety type, or maybe even a hybrid safety where you're playing a little bit of an Isaiah Simmons type of role. I think that might be the best fit for him. Because when he gets to college, he may grow another inch to be 6'4". I can see him playing at 210, maybe 215. That's putting a lot of mass on a young man that's already pretty sturdy in his own right. But with Nick Mariotti and the way that he's able to figure out the right way to get the player and to be in the best shape that they need to be to play football, I'm going to trust the coaching staff. I'm going to trust the strength and conditioning to make sure they find the right weight for him to be the best player he can be on the football field. But I do think he's going to be a long-term safety. A few things that pop off the film when I watch him play. He can line up all over the field. It doesn't matter if it's the strong safety spot and its normal depth, or if it's coming up and being in the box and being more at the Mike linebacker role. with that depth there, or if he's lined up over the slot or a tight end that's flexed out, just lined up in one-on-one man-to-man coverage there. It doesn't matter. He can line up all over the field, which goes into something the coaches have been preaching during spring practice: versatility, versatility, versatility. Talked about it yesterday on yesterday's show about Matt Guerreri and some of the guys that he says he's seen some versatility from during spring practice. Talk about it with the offensive lineman. The first day of spring practice, what do we find? Austin Serveld, who played guard a year ago on the left side and right side, all of a sudden now he's been playing left tackle. Now, I don't know if he's going to start there week 1 against Texas, but that versatility is big. Every coach wants it. A coach that says they don't want it, it's kind of hard to believe that, but that's their belief. But coaches want players that are versatile. If you're on a basketball team, you want a big man that can pop out and be a stretch 4, stretch 5. You want a point guard that can be a guy that can orchestrate the offense, but also create his own shot. You want a guy on the wing that's not only a good shooter and can slash and cut, but also a guy that's really good on defense. You want guys that can do multiple things. And Caldwell is that guy. And I don't normally use the word all around or phrase all around safety when looking at players, but I do view him as an all-around safety. A lot of times for safeties, especially at the high school level, they're either great in pass coverage, they might be great in run and stopping the run, they might be great in the box, they might be great in space. There aren't many guys out there that are great in a lot of areas, and you kind of call them an all-around safety. Growing up, when recruiting services began to gain some traction, the term all-purpose back was one that you would find over there. Rivals was big when I was a kid. Rivals and Scout.com were a couple big ones. And you saw all-purpose back. You saw dual-threat quarterback or pro-style quarterback. You knew the distinction between dual-threat and pro-style. And you knew an all-purpose back, what is it? It's right in the description of the word, all-purpose. I truly believe that Simeon Caldwell is an all-around safety, which adds to why maybe he does put on some weight to play linebacker down the road. I don't think, at least right now, I don't think that's the best option for him. Also, his instincts are off the chart, which might be going to him being an all-around safety. I am big on the instincts of a player, and when I'm watching players play, especially for this show, I'm watching for their instincts before the snap of the ball. Are they helping themselves in the right position for where the ball's going to go after it's snapped before the ball is snapped? And over and over and over, Caldwell is moving. Caldwell is already lining up in the right spot. Caldwell is picking things up quick, fast, and in a hurry and making a move right away. I don't know why this movie just popped into my head, but the Mighty Ducks, Mighty Ducks 1, D2, and D3, make a first move, Conway, or whatever he said. I know it was make a move, Conway, and it was don't wait. Don't wait for the guy with the puck to make a move on you. You make a move on him. You be the aggressor. You impose your own will on that man. And what did you find? Once Conway figured out how to make a move and believed in himself, it worked out to perfection. A lot of guys you want on defense, really every guy you want on defense, you want them to be able to read stuff pre-snap so that post-snap, they're able to make a move, immediately make a move. Or you're making a move before the ball is snapped. So after the ball is snapped, you're right in the right position. That is Simeon Caldwell. He is the 9th player to verbally commit to Ohio State, and he has a mindset similar to Devin Sanchez, not the one where you're going to kind of put yourself at the bottom to prove that you've earned the right to play. But Caldwell made this comment about him and what he'll do to get on the field. Quote, "I'll do whatever it takes to get on the field. I just love the game," end quote. That's the kind of mindset I want players to have. And if I were a coach, I would want all my players on the football team, on the basketball team, or whatever I'm coaching. I want everybody to have that mindset. I'll do whatever it takes to get on the field. I just love the game. I love that mindset, and I love what I see from Simeon Caldwell. I also love what Ohio State's been doing right now on the recruiting trail, and I'm wondering if the Buckeyes can maintain their recruiting surge. This episode is brought to you by Fabric by Gerber Life. Life moves fast, especially when you have a family. One day you're watching your kids take their first steps, and before you know it, they're off to college. That's why securing their future is so important. Fabric by Gerber Life makes it simple to get term life insurance that fits your family's needs. With Fabric, you can apply for term life insurance online right from your couch. You could be covered in under 10 minutes, and in many cases, no health exam is required. As a parent, I want to make sure my family is financially protected no matter what happens. Fabric gives me that peace of mind. You can get $1 million in coverage for less than $1 a day. So protecting your loved ones doesn't have to break the bank. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their families. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. That's meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. Policies issued by Western Southern Life Assurance Company, not available in certain states. Price is subject to underwriting and health questions. This episode is also brought to you by Prize Picks. Baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, Prize Picks keeps every game exciting. This week, I'm picking Aaron Judge for more than 1 home run and Shohei Ohtani for more than 1 stolen base. Y'all, it's that easy. Setting up a lineup takes less than 60 seconds, and when you win, your payout is quick, safe, and secure. I always take advantage of Taco Tuesday, where Prize Picks offers discounts on select player projections for even more value. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Thank y'all for tapping Locked on Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. Like we mentioned earlier, we're going to keep talking about this over the next few weeks and months. The Buckeyes are off to a hot start of the recruiting trail. 9 verbal commitments, and we're only in the first 4 days of April. That's great. That's a great foundation. That's a great way to add to what's already been a very successful spring for the Buckeyes. But I got a question about Ohio State's recruiting, and I also have an answer for that. Can Ohio State maintain the recruiting surge? Absolutely they can. Now, I'm not saying they're going to maintain the recruiting surge and have 20 guys committed or 25 guys committed before the week 1 game against Texas. I'm not going that far. I ain't making those kind of projections. However, I do believe Ohio State could potentially get another 5-star safety to commit to Ohio State, or they could get they could get 5 or 6 offensive linemen to commit to Tyler Bowen, or they could just stockpile more top 100 recruits. So at the end of the day, you're looking at Ohio State's 26 cycle, you might not see a weakness anywhere. And why is that the case, or why could that be the case? Because Ohio State set the right foundation. They made sure they got some beef up front. They made sure they got some quality guys during this part of the year. But then also, as you go into the official visit season, what are you going to find? Ohio State's going to get more commitments from guys that have the right mindset and want to be a part of something great. Also, Quinshon Judkins, this video was circulating Twitter once again. I don't know who put it back on Twitter, but I'm glad they did. It was from his Big Ten Network appearance before the national championship. It was a round table. It was a table, 4 guys talking there, and it was Jake Butt asking Quinshon Judkins a question. This is before the Buckeyes and the Fighting Irish played in the national championship. And Jake Butt asked Quinshon Judkins about Ohio State. He wasn't trying to tell him to tear down Ole Miss, but he's like, what is it about Ohio State? The chemistry, the culture, all these things that make Ohio State so unique. What is it? And Quinshon Judkins, the first words out of his mouth were, quote, "This place is different," end quote. You may want to say, Jay, he could easily say that because it's different than Ole Miss. Ole Miss doesn't win national championships, doesn't make the playoff, and doesn't win the SEC, doesn't have conference. All these things could be said about Ole Miss to tear them down. No, he didn't tear them down. And even with him saying it's different, that's not saying Ole Miss is a bad place. It's just lifting up what is the reality about Ohio State, that Ohio State is different. And it attracts different players. There's a reason why Jason Witten, his son, is a really big-time safety playing down there in Texas. His son's been going around to different places on unofficial visits. He was at Ohio State recently, and Bobby Carpenter talked about this on, I think it was the podcast live show. He talked about this visit when he talked to Jason Witten regarding about Ohio State being different. And if Jason Witten being a former All-Pro tight end for the Cowboys, and I thought he was a really good analyst when he was calling games there. We had to get some reps under his belt. Once he did, I thought he was a quality analyst, honestly. Jason Witten knows what it's like to be at a place that's good, a place that's elite, and a place that's different. And he had such high praise about Ohio State and how Ohio State conducts the program, how everything is held to a standard that is different than a lot of places in the country. I'm not trying to say it's different in a better way than Alabama or Texas. I'm not trying to take a school's name. I'm just saying that when you go around to various schools, especially if you're a highly sought-after player, you're going to get wined and dined, and all these schools are going to try to find a way to win you over. But Ohio State being different in Quinshon Judkins' eyes, and he had been down in the heart of the SEC at Ole Miss there, and it's a tradition-rich program, and they play big games every year, and they have quality talent every year. And you come to Ohio State, you commit to Ohio State out of the portal shortly after the team up north won the national championship there in the 2023 season, which might get vacated. I can't go any further without making that comment. And you make that statement about Ohio State, that's huge. That's big time. And it plays into why I think Ohio State can continue this recruiting surge. They have a great base. They have a coach that knows how to win on the recruiting trail. They have coaches that get the job done. They do the dirty work. The recruiting staff there outside of the 10 assistant coaches, they do a great job of putting feelers out there, trying to find out who the up-and-comer is, and doing all the evaluation and develop and analyzing the talent to make sure this person is worth pursuing. And while pursuing that player, you know you're going to go up against a Colorado, a Texas, an Alabama, an Auburn, a Georgia, an Oklahoma State, a USC, an Oregon, a Florida State, a Miami, a Clemson. I just named a few of the schools that Ohio State is going up against every single time they're trying to get a top player. And what you're finding is, no matter the battle, Ohio State has something right now that nobody else could use on the recruiting trail. They are the national champions. And when you are the national champions, you're going to find guys like Simeon Caldwell that not only have a relationship with a coach of the coaching staff, but also are drawn to BIA. They're drawn to the differences that make Ohio State so unique, and they say, I want to be a part of that. I want a place that's going to push me. I want a place that's going to be the type of place where I can be the best player, be the best human, and be well prepared for life after my collegiate career is over. You want to go to a place like that. And I find myself with Ohio State, and all the things Ryan Day has gotten right and all the things Ryan Day has gotten wrong, I find Ryan Day getting better at this thing every single year. And that's trying to find a way to push the coaches on the recruiting trail. Get a feeler out early. Get working early to stay ahead of the game. Create the relationship. Sustain that relationship. So at the end of the day, maybe on April 4th or maybe on June 18th, whatever the date is, you have an upper hand on trying to figure out, one, is that kid ready for a different mindset going to a school like Ohio State? Cool. If he is, then what do we have to do to get him? And when you get him, secure him. And Simeon Caldwell does something very similar to Chris Henry Jr. This young man shut down his recruitment. That's huge. That's big time. In a world where a lot of guys out there are enjoying the process of going on official visits, where they want to go to 5 or 6 after verbally committing to a school, these guys are saying, no, my word is my bond, and we're going to shut this thing down right now. I love athletes with that mindset, that they realize when they verbally commit, that's the same as signing on the dotted line of a legal document. We're done. We're absolutely done. Well, that's done for those guys there on the recruiting trail, and they're saying, nope, I'm not taking any more official visits. I'm not going to entertain anything else. Jake Diebler has to entertain a lot of stuff right now to make Ohio State's roster complete, and that man got busy in the portal and found a quality big man. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Daylight savings snuck up on us again, and if you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5 Hour Energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through. Whether you're staying up late watching the NCAA tournament, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5 Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. I've been staying up late watching all the tournament action, and 5 Hour Energy helps me keep up the next day. Whether I'm at a game or traveling, 5 Hour Energy is easy to grab and keeps me feeling refreshed. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, and peach mango. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack delivered right to your door. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized. This episode is also brought to you by Epicor. Every team knows the value of hard work, of taking pride in what you build, and practicing every detail to get the best results. But no one player, no matter how amazing, can do it all alone. Working together makes getting the win easier. At Epicor, the all-stars are the hard-working manufacturers and distributors who create and deliver the things we all need, from aerospace to electrical to medical devices. Epicor ERP solutions are created by industry experts to help make every day easier. Seeing your whole supply chain is easier. Managing logistics is easier. Responding to price changes is easier. For small businesses with big dreams to growing enterprises with global vision, we'll equip you with the right tools to move forward, think ahead, and lead the way. Because as the clock ticks down, you need to make the most of every hard-working minute. Easier doesn't cut corners. Easier takes the lead. Discover your success at www.easierwithepicor.com. That's www.easierwithepicor.com.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Thank y'all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes and making this show your first listen of the day. It's a Feel Good Friday. And this is one of those moments where we're putting the basketball at the end of the Friday morning show. Normally basketball gets a standalone show, and that's probably going to happen at some point this weekend. But this is big. It's a full recruiting show. And Jake Diebler has made sure that his boys are featured on this show because they're getting the job done. Earlier this week, there was a Zoom call set up with Christoph Tilly, and it was about Jake Diebler trying to figure out who this guy is, learn more about him. You know who he is as a player. Is he going to be the right fit for Ohio State down the road? And he is. Christoph Tilly, former center at Santa Clara, has committed to Ohio State to transfer to Ohio State, and this young man can ball. He's also 7 foot, 240 pounds. That's also a nice little addition to the way this young man plays. He averaged 13 points, 12.5 points last year, almost 5 rebounds a game for Santa Clara. And he is someone, you think about 7 foot, 240. Is he a back to the basket kind of guy? No. Is he a guy that's going to be a pick and pop kind of guy? Maybe. But he can also put the ball down on the court. He can yam that thing on you. And when I watch him play, I think about the big men that I have watched Ohio State have over the past few years since I started covering the team in the 2020 and 2021 season. He's unlike any big man during that time period. Aaron Bradshaw still at Ohio State, and Ivan, the foreigner who was a freshman last year, is not Aaron Bradshaw, Sean Stewart. Not the same type of player either. But Ivan is still there. But Tilly is better. Easily better than Ivan. Christoph Tilly is coming in. He's going to start and be the big man for Ohio State. And he's going to be going along with Bruce Thornton, who has made it clear he is returning for one more year at Ohio State. He'll be alongside John Mobley Jr., who is once again confirming he'll be at Ohio State for another year. Devin Royal, and I think that foreman is going to be Sean Stewart. I like that starting five. Absolutely. You got a good lead guard. You got a guy in John Mobley Jr. who can put the ball on the court, but also is deadly from downtown. Devin Royal has a bigger body, but he's a great wing. Sean Stewart can do a little bit of things that's going to make this more of a well-rounded starting five. And then Christoph Tilly, watch his film, man. Go to the YouTube and look up Christoph Tilly's tape. You're going to find he can shoot the thing a little bit, but he has better handles for a big man than you might think. And his unique style of play is exactly what Ohio State needs. If you're going to lure in more big men that aren't your traditional old school big men or guys that are going to be long-term projects, you need guys like Tilly to come in and make an immediate impact. Now, here's Jay Diebler. Well, I believe Tilly can make an immediate impact. He has the ability to. Diebler has to put him in the right position to be successful. That's going to be difficult. It's going to be very difficult at times based off matchups, and maybe you're leaning towards allowing the other team to dictate the matchup, and maybe based off their personnel, Tilly is not going to get a lot more run. But you are able to dictate the pace. You could even impose your will on the opposition. It doesn't matter if a team comes in and they start 2 7-footers. Is your team more equipped to overcome that because of the speed they play with or the pace they play with or X, Y, or Z that might make your team more equipped to handle and dictate the pace and the style than another team? It's possible. Then do it. Now, I know it's easier said than done, but one of the struggles, especially one that coaches have, especially young coaches, is falling into a trap of allowing the other team to dictate your rotation at the start of the game. I am all for coaches putting different guys in the starting lineup in and out and allowing it to be more of a case-by-case basis based off the things that your team is doing in practice. But at some point, you got to realize you got to ride with who you got. Ohio State doesn't have any more Austin Parks, Evan Mahaffey, Aaron Bradshaw, or Meechie Johnson. I want to close the show with Meechie Johnson because that's a very interesting topic right now. Losing those guys, okay, yeah, it's going to shake some things up, but dictate the pace. You can do that with Tilly. It's going to be hard to find teams that have a big man that can guard Tilly. Either they may have the quickness, but they can't handle him down low, don't have the physicality. Maybe they can handle him down low, but they can't handle him off the dribble. Maybe they can't handle his movement. He is very much a different style of big man than a lot of, even when Joey Brunk transferred to Ohio State, which I thought was odd, also because I saw Joey Brunk play when he was in high school for multiple years, and I was like, no, you're not an IU big man. You're not an Ohio State big man. Really, at the time, I was like, you're not really a Butler big man. But that's the best place for him to play basketball. He wasn't that kind of player, but even though Joey Brunk and Christoph Tilly are the same height, maybe even the same weight, they're different players, and Tilly's more skilled. Tilly's just better. Not only are they different players, Tilly is just better. So the Meechie Johnson thing is interesting. Meechie Johnson recently left Ohio. Well, after the first 10 games of the year, Meechie Johnson left the team, didn't come back, had some mental health issues, which is why he never returned to the team. Into the portal about a week ago. He has since returned back to South Carolina. So a young man that was asked to end his high school career early to come to Ohio State because Ohio State had injuries, cool. He came in, played under Holtman, played at Ohio State for a couple of years, transferred to South Carolina. Goes to South Carolina, plays basketball for a couple of years. Next thing you know, he transfers to Ohio State. This was his fifth year playing college basketball. Had to transfer. I believe he had to go and request a waiver to play another year of college basketball. He got that, and now he's back in South Carolina. I don't like the trend of the portal. And when I saw the graphic, I think On3 put it up. Not knocking On3. It's their job to put a graphic up and describe the path that players have. You saw Ohio State to South Carolina to Ohio State, and then the arrow was going back to South Carolina. That's just as weird as guys that have a Florida to a San Diego State to a cow. You're a cow golden bear. Then all of a sudden you're going and you're playing at Arizona at the end of the day. That's just as weird as that. Even though both situations are a little bit different because one, you're going to four schools. Let's say the four different schools is in 6 years. Meechie Johnson transferred multiple times between two schools. I wish there were some more rules on the portal. Also, I really wonder them, like Meechie Johnson leaving Ohio State the first time. That may have been the best move for his career. But remember, he's younger than the average guy that was ending his second year in college because he came in early. He was literally in high school, and then all of a sudden they reach out. I forget, I think he left in December or November, but he came to Ohio State, and I'm thinking, there's a maturity level that's different. There's a learning curve that's different. There's a lot of stuff that's going to be different for this young man. His path was unique to begin with. It's very unique at the end. I'm not trying to knock the kid. I just want to know who's advising him. Because to make moves like this, maybe the advice is good and going back and forth is the best thing for him. But man, I have a hard time believing it is. I think Meechie Johnson's going to is a good player. He's a volume shooter. He can do some decent things in South Carolina next year. Man, but just the whole path, the whole process, it's really odd. Put some more rules on the portal to protect players. Not putting guardrails up there, it's not helping players learn and restrict them from making some. They're going to make some bad mistakes. But my goodness, you're adults. The adults in the room need to help these young players by putting rules on the portal. It's not only going to help the players, it's going to make the sport a whole lot better. Because there are guys that go into the portal and don't return to college basketball because there's no roster spot for them. Advice for these young kids needs to be the right advice. Too many people are in this for their own personal gain. At the end of the day, the young man suffers. The person giving them the advice, they're not suffering like the young man is. Thank y'all for tapping Locked On Buckeyes right here on a Feel Good Friday and making this your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out the Locked On College Basketball with Andy Patton and Isaac Shade. We're right around, not too far away from the tip-off of the Final Four. We're not too far away from the tip-off of the national championship game on Monday night. And the guys at Locked On College Basketball, they're going to have you glued in and dialed in and prepared in a way you've never been prepared before the Final Four games, after the Final Four games, and also heading into the national championship. You can find Locked On Buckeyes and Locked On College Basketball on the YouTube or wherever you get your fine podcasts. Also, do y'all like the plant behind me? I've been moving it quite a bit since I've been using this new spot in our apartment to do the show, but I kind of look at it right now on the screen, and I think it's a nice touch. Until we move, we bought a house, but until we move and I get a new setup and a new different look for the show, that thing might stay behind me. You can follow me on any social media platform or jstevens07. Send every email to jstevens317@gmail.com. This has Unlocked On Buckeyes right here on a Friday. We'll see you next time.